Hey traders, Raghee here, and one of the questions I've been getting a lot of, in fact I was just on a radio interview and the interviewer was asking me, hey, what do you think of these earnings and some of the moves where these stocks have moved up? You know, would you be a buyer on some of these moves at the bottom in? And you know, I can't even emphasize enough, I do not believe the buying that we're seeing on some of these earnings are buying opportunities. Rather, I think these are going to be selling opportunities. And there's certain stocks that are very important during earnings season to futures traders. So that's kind of the important thing here. What are those names that are very important to futures traders? And they're going to be names like Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google. Intel as well. That pretty much is the first 7 major weighted names in the Nasdaq. So one of the things that we were looking for ultimately was a quick move to the upside that we could sell in the Nasdaq. And it's interesting, the Nas moved higher all day long, just kind of grinded higher. We saw strength in Amazon, strength in Microsoft, Facebook, Google. And the plan was, let's wait for earnings. And if there is a move to the upside, let's go ahead and sell into that strength. And, one of the things, and this is really important to understand how tops tend to cycle to the downside, and what are the last couple of dominoes to fall. And the last few dominoes to fall are usually names that are high beta. Let's call them the flyers. And what are flyers? AMD, we saw it happen to AMD the other day. What else are flyers? Netflix, we saw it happen to Netflix. Great membership numbers, and then boom, that gap up was promptly faded. Faded meaning sold. Traders took that opportunity to take profit and sell Netflix. So high beta flyers. And then the other markets that tend to be dominoes that fall will be things like oil. All right. Those are sort of the last things to roll over. And we're probably seeing a little bit of both. So my futures traders out there who are asking, Raghee, what's the threshold? Where do we actually have the downtrend? Oil rolling over. I think the only thing even keeping oil from a full-on downtrend is the sanction reaction. We're not really sure what that sanction reaction is going to be. And then I think that the high beta are already showing, those flyers are already showing weakness. And then Friday's GDP is going to be huge because we had that 4.2, the previous number, and the next number is more likely to be closer to 3.3 or maybe below. And that's going to bring us back into that sort of flattening GDP that we saw before the previous quarter's 4.2 print. Why is that important? Because what we'll be then seeing is a flat GDP. Not that it's a bad number, but it's flat. And what we have right now is a contracting CPI, contracting inflation. And those are the kind of things that are the precursors to the movement to the downside. All right. But specifically here, what are we seeing? Microsoft, good earnings, faded. In other words, you see the weakness that we have coming in. And some of this washout we're going to see from Microsoft heading lower is really going to be part of, and let me show you here what the 24-hour chart looks like. Where are we now in the after hours? We are lower than this. Some of that's going to be the outgoing tide that we see with the big move lower in Amazon. Amazon's trading below 1,700 right now. So Microsoft is lower. We also want to see what's happening with Google. We want to see what's happening with, let's go on over here to the 24-hour. Take a look at Google. Trading at 1120 down to 1060. And these are the kind of moves that are going to take the Nasdaq lower. And this is where I'm telling the traders, we want to take advantage of the bounces. This goes back to yesterday's video. Sell the rips, gang. Sell the rips in those heavily weighted names. And then the heavily weighted names that affect their underlying futures index. We'll talk more about these opportunities. But this is the way these days lately of shaping up, heading higher, and then boom, right down to lows again. So we'll see how the markets respond tomorrow. But right now, I think we're seeing a tremendous amount of weakness. And this just continues to confirm to me the volatility is a precursor to a downtrend. And those high flyers, those high betas, they are showing a whole lot more fallibility than they did just even a month ago.